I'd now like to call Brother Ron Bergen forward to do the oration from the graveside of O'Donovan Rossi.
Patrick Pierce's oration at the graveside of O'Donovan Rossi. It has seemed right before we turn away from this place in which we have laid the mortal remains of O'Donovan Rossi, that one among us should, in the name of all, speak the praise of that valiant man and endeavor to formulate the thought and hope that are in us as we stand around his grave. And if there is anything that makes it fitting that I, rather than some other, I, rather than one of the gray-haired men who were young with him and shared in his labor and in his suffering, should speak here, it is perhaps that I may be taken as speaking on behalf of a new generation that has been baptized, rebaptized in the Fenian faith, and that has accepted the responsibility of carrying out the Fenian program. I propose to you then that here by the grave of this unrepentant Fenian, we renew our baptismal vows. That here by the grave of this unconquered and unconquerable man, we ask of God, each one for himself, such unshakable purpose, such high and gallant courage, such unbreakable strength of soul as belong to O'Donovan Rossi. Deliberately here we avow ourselves as he avowed himself in the dock, Irishmen of one allegiance only. We are the Irish volunteers, and you others who are associated with us in today's task and duty are bound together and must stand together henceforth in brotherly union for the achievement of the freedom of Ireland. And we know only one definition of freedom. It is Tone's definition. It is Mitchell's definition. It is Ross's definition. Let no man blaspheme the cause that the dead generations of Ireland served by giving it any other name and definition than their name and their definition. We stand at the Ross's grave, not in sadness, but rather an exaltation of spirit that has been given to us to come thus into so close a communion with that great and splendid gift. Splendid and holy causes are served by men who are themselves splendid and holy. O'Donovan Rossi was splendid in the proud manhood of him, splendid in the heroic grace of him, splendid in the Gaelic strength and clarity and truth of him. And all of that splendor and pride and strength was compatible with a humility and a simplicity of devotion to Ireland, to all that was olden and beautiful and Gaelic in Ireland, the holiness and simplicity of patriotism of a Michael O'Clery or of a Owen O'Brien. The clear, true eyes of this man, almost alone in his day, visioned Ireland as we of today would surely have her, not free merely, but Gaelic as well. Not Gaelic merely, but free as well. And a closer spiritual communion with him now than ever before, perhaps ever again, in a spiritual communion with those of his day, living and dead, who suffered with him in English prisons, in communion of spirit too with our own dear comrades who suffer in English prisons today. And speaking on their behalf as well as our own, we pledge to Ireland our love, and we pledge to English rule in Ireland our hate. This is a place of peace, sacred to the dead, where men should speak with all clarity, all charity, and with all restraint. But I hold it a untruth to hate oppression, and hating them to strive to overthrow them. Our foes are strong and wise and wary, but strong and wise and wary as they are, they cannot undo the miracles of God who ripens in the hearts of young men the seeds sown by the young men of a former generation. And the seeds sown by the young men of 65 and 67 are coming to their miraculous ripening today. Rulers and defenders of realms need to be wary if they would guard against such processes. Life springs from death, and from the graves of patriot men and women spring living nations. The defenders of this realm have worked well in secret and in the open. They think that they have pacified Ireland. They think that they have purchased happiness and intimidated the other. They think they have foreseen everything, think that they have provided against everything. But the fools, they have left us our Fenian dead. While Ireland holds these graves, Ireland unfreed shall never be at peace.
I'd like to call everyone to please stand. And say a silent prayer, commemorating those that have given their lives for the cause of Irish freedom. Amen.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank you all for attending. Thank everyone at Waterbury, AOH, the FFI, and special thanks to Joe Flaherty, wherever he is, Joe, and Sue Kramer for their hospitality and giving me the opportunity to share my husband, ex-political hostage, McLaughlin's story. I also want to thank my mum, my dad, and my own family as well. It is a much too common story that we hear across the north of Ireland that has affected many Republican families. I would like to start out this morning by reading a poem that my husband Damien wrote whilst incarcerated in McGavery's dungeons. Forced strip search. Another day has passed in this prison hell. I'm lying bruised and sore in a lonely cell. The only sound is a lock and key. Although they try, they won't break me. 2 more forced strips I've had to endure. My clothes I won't take off, that's for sure. The rest won't think they're brave men. I stand on my own against 6 of them. I'm pulled and pushed and pinned to the floor. My defiance is growing more and more. They strip me naked and hold me down, against my will, on the cold ground. I'm forced to squat while they degrade me. For the screws and gumbers, I'll never bend the knee. They're nearly finished, there's one last thing. To force my mouth open, the final sting. I'm left there lying as they all run out. They stand staring in, I just want to shout. I get up on my feet and I get dressed. I know in myself I've done my best. There's only one problem, of that I know. This is only the first of a 2-part show. I'm taken to court, it's 10:30, and when I come back, I'm for it again. This is my story of the forced strip search. It's a degrading procedure the screws cannot defend. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The non-conforming Republican prisoners will never bend. Damien wrote this poem on the 21st of the 4th, 2011 in McGavery. I myself was arrested after Damien and held for 4 days without just cause. Being a mother of 2 small children, it was fortunate that I had my parent to fall back on. Certainly the RUC or PSNI had no regard for my children's welfare. During this time, my house was forcibly entered, ransacked and raided, and our vehicles confiscated by these thugs. So too was my mother-in-law's home, who was a widowed pensioner with ill health, from which they stole her life savings. This seems to be an all too common occurrence affecting our extended family, as Davey's brother was also arrested, and his house brutally searched. All 3 homes were damaged in these searches, and the expense of this is left with ourselves to repair. Once our solicitor sought my release, a few days later we found out that Davey was being transferred from Antrim RUC barracks to appear in Oma Court, where he was then charged on fabricated evidence and interned into McGavery jail, where the nightmare began as described in the poem. Once in McGavery, he insisted not to be kept with common criminals, as he was a Republican political hostage and deserved to be treated as such and not to be criminalised. The 3 main demands were an end to strip searching, an end to controlled movement and free association. These demands were similar to those as in 1981. At this point, one would think that nothing has changed since the days of Bobby Sands and comrades. That would be a correct assumption. In order to get their demands, they too were forced to commence protest action. The first protest began on the 4th of April 2010, when the Republican prisoners barricaded themselves into the canteen area due to the barbaric and inhumane treatment they had to endure on a daily basis. For example, the forced strip searching, beatings, denial of family and legal visits, no association, denial of food, water, exercise, denial of mass,